Okay, so I fitted the header tube back in, and I fitted the actual pipes in. Now the way I did this was I fitted in this pipe in first. I don't know, you can probably see the screw there that I put in. Nope, that's not what I want to show you. Okay, so there's the nut there. So I fitted that pipe in first, all the way as tight as it could go, and I just tightened that Allen key a little bit, just so that it was snug, but I still had some wiggle room. And then what I did is then I fitted in this pipe connector here. I waited till it was snug, and then I twisted the pipe. Well, I just twisted, but I rotated it. I rotated it and I fixed it into here. And then in order to get it to fit into there, I just used this rubber mallet just to give it a couple of knocks, just to make sure it's all fit in tight. And then I tightened up the nuts here. I tightened up those nuts, tightened up the nuts here, and tightened up the nut there. And then I'm just in the process of putting this pipe on now, and I'll see what clamp I'm going to put on here. And I'll probably put this body paneling on. So things I've got to do, I loosen this in order to get to that nut, and I've obviously taken out the oxygen sensor cable. So I'm going to put this nut back in, put the oxygen sensor cable back in, tighten it there where it fits in, right there on the new, can you see that, on the new pipes. I use this, but these fittings are so tight, I think they just smeared all over the place, and I don't really think there's a need for this on these header pipes. Maybe on this joint here and this joint here it's more necessary, but not so much on these, because there's so much overlap and these clamps tighten it. I don't think there's a need. I think by the time I squish them all together, I know my bead was no longer there, it was sort of coming over here. But anyway, so just gotta tighten up those things. I'd loosen the nuts here. I've just got to put this back in. I've taken this flap off here. I've just got to put that back in. So I'll just clean up this part here before I and then what I'll do is I'll put this panel on back here so that I can then see these tailpipes line up correctly with the lines of the motorbike and the body paneling at the back. Okay, just thought I'd give a quick update on where I am at the moment. I put on some of the body paneling back on the bike. I had to take off my signals and the wiring for that, so I cleaned up all the wiring for that. Now what I'm doing is just putting on the remainder of the pipes. I put the oxygen sensor in, and that all fitted very well. I put on the front body paneling, and I'm just putting where these exhausts should line up. So what I have done is I showed you these brackets at the beginning of the video. I spray painted these with some automated paint. I put a clear coat on and I fixed those. I'm just now putting on these pipes, just see exactly how they fit on. So I mean, nothing's on permanently just yet. I'm just getting an idea of how it should be, but I'm going to put on the other side before I put these on. I've got these clamps here as well, which are not the ones which came with it, but again these are from Royal Distributing, which are similar to the clamps I put on at the front of the bike, which I showed. So these clamps are a little, in my opinion, a little bit more better. They just don't have a nut and bolt, they just have the threads built into the actual clamp. So you can see here that this there's the actual support the exhaust is going to be hanging from. So I'll give you an update as soon as I do a bit more, and you can see how it all works out. Okay, so here is the final product. I've just attached the bracket and the actual muffler on the end. I put on the ultra copper silicon sealant red, and put on anti-seize on all of the nuts and bolts, and I've aligned up the mufflers both with one another, both aligned. The bracket that I had made, this is the bracket that comes with it. The little arm that I had made, which is this arm here, it only has the one hole in, so what I did is I used this one here to tighten it, and this one here is just a dummy nut. It's not actually holding anything in place, it's just there to fill the hole, because this bracket came with two holes in, so it's just there to fill the hole. These are a bit of a pain to put on, these little sort of springs in order to keep the main canister in place. What I did is put these springs on first with the canister hanging down, and then I tightened this bolt as much as I could. The canister was hanging out, and then I pulled the canister up and then attached it. If you try to put the canister on first and then try to stretch these springs to get one to fit to the other, it's impossible, because these have so much tension in them. It's very difficult to pull them just with a pair of pliers or something like that. So that idea was what worked best for me. So I think it looks pretty good. I have a really desperate urge to fire it up and see how it sounds, but I'm going to hold back for 24 hours just so that I can give the silicon sealant time to cure and properly seal before I start it up. So there it is. That's what it looks like. I didn't put on the pegs for the passenger pegs. Firstly, because I always have this seat cowl on, and I don't really carry any passengers anyhow, and without them it just tidies up or cleans up the rear of the bike. The kit does come with extenders so that the passenger peg extends out beyond over this tubing here, but if I do need it, I'll put him on. At the moment, like I said, I don't really need them. The only thing I used to use those passenger pegs were hanging my helmet while I was getting ready to ride the bike, but I can always make do without it. So there it is. We'll see how it sounds tomorrow. Hopefully it will sound pretty good and well worth it. It's taken me at least, the bike's been on the stand like this for about 3 weeks, just one problem after the other. I mean, I'm not technically inclined, so it's been one challenge after the other. First things were how to get the pipes off, because I wanted to get the pipes off. I got the pipes off all in one whole piece. I didn't break it apart and then pull it off. I just took it off all in one piece, and I can probably sell that on eBay if someone wants it. But after getting the pipes off, then it was the issue of, well, like I said, I have the Hot Bodies undertail kit, and I have these sort of built-in signal lights. That's an integrated light there. So the bracket that comes with it, which is this one here, which hangs the your plate and also has the holes to hold up the exhaust, I couldn't use. I had to find some alternative. So like I said, I found someone who could make me these arms, and that took 2 weeks to arrive. But I didn't want to carry on with the bike until I knew that I didn't want to take off the stock exhaust until I knew that this had arrived and I knew it would fit and everything else. Anyway, once that happened, then it was the case of the oxygen sensor. Well, before that, it was actually getting the 2 pipes in, getting this one to fit and the one at the front, the 2 header pipes to fit in snug. That was a bit of a challenge. Then it was the oxygen sensor, the new exhaust. The oxygen sensor hole or socket is lower down, so the cable was a stretch, it didn't fit, so I had to actually extend the oxygen cable sensor, cut the wire and add a foot of cable. That's all in now, and I've cable tied it so it's back secure as it is. And then what? Yeah, and then it was the brackets. Finding these brackets was a bit of an issue, finding brackets which fit at in the front, connect to the front header tubes. Like I said, the brackets that come with it are these ones here, which are pretty pathetic, because once you've got these around the pipes, you can't actually close the nut that comes with it, is too small. So you either have to replace this screw and nut with something else, but I just replaced the whole of the bracket, and this bracket that I'm using has the threads built in. So I used that bracket there, and I also used a similar one here. This bracket here is 40 to 43 millimeter. This one here is 36 to 39 millimeters. Okay, so here is the final product, all assembled, and the silicone sealant has all cured and dried up. And you can see that I managed to take off the stickers from the canisters. So I think it looks much nicer now, much cleaner. I don't think these stickers sort of just cheapen the look, and I don't know, didn't make it look as nice. So I'm glad I've managed to take those off. And then I used, which I've mentioned in my previous videos, I've used this here, the Mopar bug and tar remover, to remove the residue left on from the stickers. Okay, so you can see here the whole of the bike, and I'll just start it up. So definitely a noticeable difference from the stock exhaust. This sounds a lot more. There's actually smoke coming out the back there. There's probably some of the silicone all melting off, I don't know. But but yeah, definitely a noticeable difference. And these are still with the baffles in, so I don't know if these baffles actually come out, because the rivets, I think they're using rivets instead of screws to hold these baffles in place. So I don't even know if they do actually come out. But I don't know, I'll look into that and see. But yeah, definitely an improvement over the stock exhaust, a lot more growlier. So I will take it out for a spin in a little while and let you know. Thank you.